Start. Continue. A very good morning from the Oatridge campus of Scotland's Rural College, and a warm welcome to this live event for our Wildlife and Conservation Management courses, and thanks to you all for joining us today. My name's Graham West and I'm the Marketing and Student Recruitment Officer here on campus. Just a few words about the format for today. The quick housekeeping notes are that we can't hear you, but hopefully you can hear us. And please do use the Q&A bar on the right-hand side to ask any questions you may have. And note that there is a short delay between us talking and you hearing. We are recording the event and I'll share a link in a day or so to allow you to view it at a later date and to ask any further questions that you might come up with once you've had another look. I'll shortly introduce my colleague John McGregor, who's our programme team leader in this subject, and John will take us through a presentation on the various courses available, which I hope will give you a flavour of how he and his team provide the highest quality of structured learning from our campus here at Oatridge. The academic teams on campus are constantly adapting and developing new ways to deliver quality learning for our students, using a blended approach which, depending on the subject, will combine online, classroom and practical work. After the presentation, we'll then be happy to review and address any questions you may have, so please do use the Q&A bar. So without further ado, I'll hand over to John, who will introduce himself and we'll start the presentation.
Hi, good morning guys. As Graham said, my name's John McGregor, and I'll talk about the courses that we deliver at Oatridge. The lowest level course that we currently run is a level 4 course, Certificate in Land-Based Studies course. It runs for a full academic year from August to May. It runs 3 days a week. It is considered a full-time course, but like I say, it's 3 days a week, Mondays, Thursdays and Fridays. Starting at 9 o'clock in the morning and finishing around about 4:30 in the afternoon. We run the course in 3 blocks of 10 weeks, plus a review week. The Certificate in Land-Based Studies course is specifically aimed at school leavers and people who probably don't have any formal academic qualifications. The purpose of the Certificate in Land-Based Studies course is to give you an insight into 3 or 4 of the land-based industries. Those are horticulture, landscaping, environmental management and countryside management. While you're studying on the Certificate in Land-Based Studies course, which is a predominantly practical course, the majority of what you do will be outside. It's probably a 70-30% split. So you'll learn everything from woodland management, so how to take down trees using hand tools such as bow saws, and how to build a dry stone dike. Dry stone dike, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a wall that's built without mortar or cement. You'll learn how to build a post and wire fence, as well as doing things like building and maintaining footpaths, etc. There's a soft landscaping element. Oh, I've gone too far there. Hang on a minute. A soft landscaping element which you will undertake, and again that's around maintaining planting beds and preparing the ground for sowing seeds and planting up. Yep. You will also undertake a crop production module. So again, you will bring on a specific crop. It could be a crop of lettuces or tomatoes. Yep. So you bring them on from seed. You'll look after them in a greenhouse before planting them out into one of our allotments. And then once those crops have grown and they're ready to be harvested, you normally have the opportunity to take them away with you. Yeah. Say the other modules that you will undertake on the Certificate in Land-Based Studies course is, for example, a gamekeeping module. So you have an introduction to that. You'll learn about the role of a gamekeeper, where he works. You'll undertake a number of practical tasks that could be setting or maintaining traps for pest control, which is the role a gamekeeper undertakes. It may be building pens for example, pheasants or partridges. And the last couple of years, we've also done a practical which involves training a dog to do gamekeepery type tasks that a gamekeeper's dog would normally do. Yeah. So that's just one of the modules that you will undertake. You will also do a couple of core skills modules. So you'll do a numeracy module at level 4 or level 5 if you've already got level 4, and you'll undertake a communications module. You'll do employability skills. Employability skills are important for you to have if you're hoping to go out into the wider world and eventually get a job. So we'll help you to develop those skills. We also run the certificate land-based studies course is also a progression route if you want to then move on onto maybe a level 5 course. So we run the National Certificate in Countryside Management. So if you want to pass the certificate land-based studies, you could move on to that. You could potentially go on to agriculture, horticulture, and possibly even animal care. Yeah. Our department specifically runs the National Certificate for Countryside Management. That course, again, it's a 3-day course. It's full time. It runs on a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, the National Certificate in Countryside Management is kind of a progression course if you then wanted to go on and do your HNC, HND, and possibly even degree level courses in wildlife management and conservation or environmental management. Again, some of the modules that you will undertake while doing the NC in countryside management are things like post and wire fencing and habitat management type tasks. Again, it's a predominantly practical course. So like the certificate in land-based studies course, you should enjoy being outside in all types of weather. There's a list of the modules or the units that you will undertake. I'm not going to read them all out. I will pick a few and talk about those. So you'll undertake, for example, a rural land use module. The rural land use module looks at the ways in which we use rural land and what factors influence their use. You will undertake a practical conservation pathwork course that looks at the components of footpaths, how to build and how to maintain them. You will undertake a countryside woodwork course. Again, it's practical element, so you could be constructing benches, waymarker signs, bird boxes, bat boxes, that type of thing. Yep. Other modules that you will do will be things like map reading and land navigation. So again, you'll probably be taken out to somewhere like the Pentland Hills Regional Park. You'll learn how to use a compass, how to read a map, and how to take a bearing using both of those pieces of equipment. All the courses from certificate right the way through to HND, you will have the option of undertaking a study tour. The study tour at the NC level is generally up to Aviemore. You will stay in a Swiss-style lodge at Badaguish Outdoor Centre. The study tour does come at a financial cost to the students. Currently, the cost is around £300 per student. That covers your transportation from Oatridge campus up to Badaguish Outdoor Centre. It covers all your transport needs when we're away for that week. It covers the accommodation, all your food costs, so breakfast, lunch, evening meals. The only thing it doesn't cover is just sort of your snacks. And it also covers a activity that we undertake on the last day. So, picture on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen is the Swiss-style cottage that we stay in. The accommodation comprises a sitting room with kitchen and dining area. It has around 5-6 bedrooms. The bedrooms will sleep from 2 to 6 people. Each bedroom has an ensuite. There are washing machine facilities, there's a drying room, etc., all in it. Yeah. Immediately behind our accommodation, you have Glenmore Forest. You'll spend a lot of time in Glenmore Forest, for example, surveying for capercaillie. If you don't know what capercaillie is, it's the largest member of the grouse family that we have in Scotland. You'll visit the Highland Wildlife Park. You'll get a guided tour around there. The people at the Highland Wildlife Park will take you to what they call the best view in Scotland. And we will have a discussion around the reintroduction of species such as beaver, wolves, European brown bear into Scotland. Yeah. So that's a little bit about the study tour. We would arrive on the Monday, having left Oatridge campus around about 9 o'clock. We'd probably get up to the Highland Wildlife Park around about midday, have the tour of the Highland Wildlife Park, and then we make our way on to Badaguish Outdoor Centre, which is probably about another hour further up the road. When we arrive at the accommodation, we'll have a meeting in the sitting room. We'll discuss sort of the behaviours that we expect, that kind of thing. You will get settled into your rooms, and then the rest of Monday is probably really just getting settled in. Tuesday we would do the capercaillie survey, and that would take the best part of the morning. We would then go to Loch Garton, where the RSPB have a site and where there are ospreys nesting. We get to view them, and we get a talk from the RSPB. On the Wednesday, we normally take a trip to Craigmeggy. Craigmeggy is a site that's managed by Nature Scotland on the behalf of the people of Scotland. And we would get a talk from the reserve manager regarding the way that they manage the site and why they manage it the way that they do. You'll probably get plied with tea, coffee and biscuits while they're giving you that talk. Once the talk's over, we will take a walk up the hill at Craigmeggy as far as a lock-in. The lock-in, it was created in the last ice age by the way of glaciers. As the glaciers melted, they left the water in the lock-in. The lock-in is lined with granite. We normally go on the study tour around about April, May time. Quite often there's still snow on the hill. The water in the lock-in is pretty much ice melt. But every year we'll have students who are, I don't know whether they're either brave enough or stupid enough to actually go in for a swim. But yeah, it's all fun. After we've had the walk up to the lock-in, we then visit the RSPB's Innish Marshes Nature Reserve. And again, we'll get a talk from the RSPB wardens there. On the Thursday, we normally undertake some sort of practical activity. That could be on the Rocky Murchis estate. It could be clearing vegetation. It could be digging drainage ditches. It could just be doing wildlife surveys. On the Friday, the last day, is typically a fun day. In the past, we've taken the students to do kayaking on Loch Morlock. We've been gorge walking, done high ropes courses. There's a variety of things that we get the students to do, but it'll be down to you guys to choose what it is on the Friday. After you've done your activity, we then make our way back down the road to Oatridge, getting back at college for around about 3-4 o'clock. The HNC in Wildlife and Conservation Management, that again is a full-time course. It runs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, again starting at 9 o'clock and finishing around 4. The HN, once you get into the HNC, HND levels, those courses are probably less practical. It's probably about a 70% theoretical, 30% practical based. People will come on this course either to progress and eventually go on to do their degree, or in terms of employment, if you wanted to get a job as a ranger, as a consultant, maybe in ecology, then these courses are going to help you to get there. We have quite a good track record in terms of our students who've done the HNC and HND going into employment. I met with Forestry and Land Scotland representatives a couple of weeks ago to be told that there's about 6 or 7 of our ex-students have just taken up paid employment with them. We have a former student who's the reserve manager for Nature Scotland on 3 of their most high-profile sites, those being Blawhorn, Moss and West Lothian, Flanders, Moss and Stirling, and Loch Lomond and the Trossachs National Park. So we do have a good track record in getting students the kind of jobs that they want with organisations such as Nature Scotland and Forestry and Land Scotland. So if you come on to the HNC, there's a list of the modules that you would undertake. Again, I won't go through them all. I'll pick a couple and I'll talk about them. So the environmental awareness module is quite a nice and quite a fun module to do. It looks at population growth. It looks at how we use finite resources and the impact that they have on the environment. And it also looks at sustainability. Part of one of the assessments is to do up a personal action plan on how you would reduce your impact on the environment. You will do various modules in terms of classification and identification of organisms. It's it looks at how we classify various animal species and how we identify them when we're outside it. You'll go through an ecology and ecosystems module. Again, much of those 2 modules that I've just mentioned there will be done outside in and around our estate. So at Oatridge, we benefit from the fact that we've got somewhere in the region of 780 acres of land that's essentially the students' playground, if you like. You will undertake a geology and geomorphology unit. You will also undertake wildlife management. So the wildlife management module, that looks at why we have to manage wildlife. It looks at the methods that are used to manage wildlife. You will undertake, again, our rural land use module. It's a step up that it follows on from the rural land use module that you've done at NC level, or you may have done at NC level. Again, it looks at how we use the land for agriculture, what influences the fact that we use the land for agriculture, and then we look at how we use the land for another 6 or 7 land uses, which will include energy production, water catchment, recreation, etc. Yep. You will do a biodiversity conservation module, again, which looks at why we need to conserve biodiversity. You will undertake well, it mentions there a graded unit. The graded unit used to be a standalone module where you carried out almost a mini dissertation or mini thesis. It ran for the full year, but when COVID kicked in, the graded unit as a standalone module was removed. What happens now is that your grade, your yearly grade, is based on how well you perform in your mandatory modules. Yeah. As part of the HNC and HND course, you will have the opportunity to participate in Oatridge Ranger and Countryside Stewards activities. Wednesday afternoons are given over to ORCS activities, where you can be involved in doing practical work both on Oatridge Estate or out with the estate on partners' land. So, for example, we have a good relationship with Forestry and Land Scotland, Nature Scotland. So quite often we will go out to their sites. We will work alongside members of those organisations. So it's given you the opportunity to build up a relationship with them. It's given you the opportunity to show them what you're capable of. Thereby, if you end up applying for jobs with those organisations, it's standing you in a fairly good position. Yeah. Other benefits of participating in ORCS activities is you're potentially moving into a sector where historically you've had to go and do voluntary work. Even once you've got your degree, there's historically been an expectation that you do some volunteering before you actually get taken on in any paid work. By participating with ORCS, that counts towards your volunteering while you're at college. And the beauty of participating in ORCS activities is that you can tailor your volunteering to what it is that most interests you. So, for example, last year we had a group of students who really wanted to learn more and be involved in dragonfly surveys. Orcs got in touch with the Dragonfly Society. They sent out members of their organisation, and they took the students through steps on how to identify dragonflies. The other thing about Orcs is that they can apply for funding. That funding can be used to put members of Orcs through vocational training courses. So again, last year they had funding, and they put a number of the Orcs members through their first aid at work qualification. So there are benefits to, like I say, participating with them. Other activities that Orcs have undertaken, they've been laying a hedge at Oatridge Estate, and they've been maintaining an orchard at Oatridge. So again, these are tasks that you can learn about and get involved in. Again, as with the NC, you have the option to go on a study tour at HNC. The study tour historically to the Isle of Rum off the west coast of Scotland. Isle of Rum, if you've never been there before, it's a relatively small island. Motorised vehicles are only permitted on the island under licence. Generally, you will walk everywhere. We will leave Oatridge campus probably around about 4 o'clock in the morning on the Monday. We'll travel up to Mallaig either by coach or by minibus, depending on how many students are going on the study tour. We'll probably get up to Mallaig by about 7 o'clock in the morning. The ferry generally leaves just after 9. Once we're on the ferry, it's probably about a 2 to 2.5 hour ferry travel to get to the island Rum. It takes that long getting out there because it goes to Canna and Egg first, yeah. But once we arrive on Rum, it will be a short 20-minute walk to the bunkhouse. The bunkhouse is fairly modern. It was only constructed probably about 5 or 6 years ago. It sleeps up to 20. Again, it has, I think it's 5 dorms that will sleep from 2 to 6 people in each dorm. It has male and female shower blocks. It has a drying room, a fairly large sitting room, kitchens, and stunning views out into Kinloch Bay. When we get to Rum, because you've been on the go since about probably 3 in the morning, we'll have a fairly relaxed day. We might take a little stroll. If we can get a guided tour of the castle, we will. However, the castle at the moment is in a pretty poor state. It'll be down to the students to decide whether or not they want to self-cater or whether you guys would rather be catered for. Pros and cons to both. Self-catering, we choose menus, and you can eat as much or as little as you want. If you're catered, the caterers determine the menu really, and you're restricted to what they provide you. Monday evening is generally social activities for the students. Because it's quite a small island and there's not a lot to do, those social activities will quite often involve a few drinks with the locals. A number of the locals are musicians. They will normally bring along instruments. If some of the students are play guitars or whatever, for example, they'll normally get involved in a jamming session. Yep. On the Tuesday, it's normally a walk to a place called Kilmorey. It's an 8-kilometre walk there, an 8-kilometre walk back. Kilmorey is the site of the world's longest running large mammal project in relation to red deer. We will have a talk from the people who run the red deer project at Kilmorey. We may well get involved in a deer mortality survey, which is looking for dead deer out in the hills. At Kilmorey, there's a large shed. Within that shed is every head and antlers of every deer that's ever lived or died on the island. Some of those deer, if you watch Autumn Watch, you may have been familiar with. On the Wednesday, we normally take a walk over to Harris Bay. Picture in the top right corner just now, that's Kilmorey Bay, where the Red Deer project is. But we'll normally take a walk over to Harris Bay. And we're involved in a beach cleanup there. When I first introduced the beach cleanup, I was a bit concerned what the students would think of it. Because it's a 16-kilometre walk there and a 16-kilometre walk back, it actually meant that we could only spend a couple of hours doing the beach cleanup. That was one thing that the students complained about. They would like more time actually doing that. So when I was there last year, we decided to take a pickup truck over to Rum. We got permission for that, and it meant that we could ferry the students there and back, so they had a lot more time to carry out the beach cleanup. Top right-hand picture, again, that's students that stopped for the lunch, having walked to Kilmorey Bay. We've been quite fortunate in all the years that I've taken the students over to the Isle of Rum, and we've been fortunate with the weather. However, the weather can change fairly quickly and it can be quite dramatic. So when we go, you need to be prepared for all weather conditions. That's bottom right-hand picture. That's students just taking weather readings, so wind speed. They'll have taken the pH of the soils, etc., for one of their modules. There may well be assessments linked to the Isle of Rum trip. I've already mentioned it's quite a small island. There are 22 residents on the island. There is one shop that doubles up as a post office and an off sales, and there is a community hall that doubles up as a pub. Those, I don't think these are bottles of alcohol on that table. It may well be, and it may well be only if the guys are over 18 yet. So that's them stopping after a day's activities for some light refreshments. The HNC, again, it's a progression route to get onto HND. Again, same opportunities in terms of employment, or if you wanted to progress on to the degree level course. The HND, it's a full-time course. It runs Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursdays. And again, there's a list of the various modules that you may well undertake. Again, I'll talk about the modules that I will have you for if you come onto it. So I will have you for things like habitat management. Again, that is a predominantly practical module. It will involve a number of site visits to places such as Blawhorn Moss, Selmuir Forest, Camelty Woods. We will look at the ways in which they manage those habitats and why they manage them in the way that they do. Part of the assessment for this module, you are expected to evaluate some of the projects that have already been carried out there. And then you're asked to come up with projects that you would carry out there to manage those particular habitats. You will also have a marine environments and management protection module. Again, it looks at how we manage the marine environment and why we need to protect them. You'll undertake terrestrial ecology, freshwater environments. You'll do a couple of data collection and handling methods and data management modules, and those also tie in with a geographic information systems module that you will undertake. It says at the bottom of the slide, again in red, your graded units 2 and 3, as with the graded unit 1 at HNC. At the moment, they're not standalone modules. Your overall yearly grade will be based upon how you perform in the mandatory units. At HND level, you have the opportunity to spend a full month in Transylvania. You'll normally go there the week before Easter break. You'll be there for the 2 weeks over Easter and the week after the Easter break. You will be in the Cluj, Alba and Cebu areas, as you can see in the map. While you're there, you work closely with one of the local smallholders. They have their own vineyard, they have their own orchard. You will learn traditional methods of maintaining the vineyard. You'll undertake coppicing of woodlands, and you'll learn one of the ways that the coppice material is used for tying up the vines, etc. There will be a number of visits to local wineries, to a local horticultural college where you will work alongside some of their students in their greenhouses, and you'll also visit a few other small holdings who diversify. Normally what will happen is you'll leave your accommodation probably around about 8:30 to make your way to one of the small holdings. When you get there, the first thing they're going to do is give you breakfast. They're going to feed you. After you've had your breakfast, you'll make your way to the vineyards, for example. You'll do a little bit of work there. By 12 or 1 o'clock, you'll be back down at the kind of farmhouse. They will provide you with your lunch. At lunch, all of those farmhouses or small holdings, they all have fruit trees of some kind, as well as vines. They all make their own form of schnapps. You will be fed up of them plying you with schnapps by the end of the study tour. Some of it is quite nice, some of it not so nice. You will spend a day at a traditional hunting lodge. What else you'll visit the walled city of Cebu. It's got quite a lot of cultural significance and a really nice atmosphere there. I'd like to say you go there for a month. It doesn't cost the students anything. You actually get paid to go for the month. I went a few years ago. I was only there for the week. The weather, although you go in April, the weather when I was there was amazing. You could walk around in shorts and t-shirt. So yeah, you have a great time there. These are just examples of some of the traditional buildings on the small holding that we mainly work at. All thatched roofs. It's just students taking a picture of one of the rare plants on the land. You will learn how to use traditional hand tools for example, making hay. And again, that's one of the vineyards where the locals are tending. Like I say, it's one of the areas that you could potentially be helping out on. Yeah. As I said, everywhere you go, they're going to ply you with food and some of their home brew. This is the walled city of Cebu. It's quite picturesque. We also run a Professional Development Award, or PDA, in ecological surveying. It's a one-year distance learning course with occasional study weekends. The type of people that we will probably get coming on to the PDA and ecological surveying are probably people who are already working in the sector but lack specific qualifications. The level that the PDA set it is somewhere around about the HNC, HND level. So again, modules that you typically will do will be classification and identification of organisms, ecology and ecosystems, data management, GIS, ecological surveying. You'll look at environmental regulations and you'll do an entrepreneurship sort of module in terms of how to start up a business. Yeah. Well, that's the PDA. We also offer degree level and above courses. So a PG and diploma and an MSc in wildlife conservation and management. They're both distance learning. We don't actually run it out of Oatridge, it's run out of our Aberdeen campus. The PG certificate is 1 year. You've got 4 modules. Year 2 for the diploma, again, is 4 modules. And if you want to do the MSc, you've got to do the full 3 years. And that involves a project that you undertake. And that concludes the presentation for the courses that we run in the department at Oatridge. So over to Graham.
Thank you very much, John. Very comprehensive and immersive, as always. Folks, John has got to run shortly because he's got to take his dog to the vet, so I'm going to batter through some of the questions that have come in quite quickly, if you forgive me. So first of all, John, Aaron is asking, would this course be a good pathway to zoology at university?
Yeah, it would be. You will do, like I say, a lot of ecological modules, which will be all part of zoology. Yeah, so yes, we've had students actually come from zoology to do the wildlife and conservation management in the past. off the top of my head, I don't think we've anybody done it the other way. But yeah, I don't see any reason why the course wouldn't be accepted for you going on to do a degree level zoology course.
I think the other thing that you may have mentioned, forgive me if you did, but once people finish up at Oatridge with HND, we do have the option to move to our Edinburgh campus, where we have a BSc in Wildlife Conservation Management and a BSc also in Environmental Management. So there's opportunity to progress up through the different levels if you want to specialise a bit more. Here's one from Olivia asking, what assessment methods are used, John?
Assessment methods, we use a variety of assessment methods. We do written reports, restricted response questions. You have a blog to do for one of your assessments. There may well be posters involved. Some of the assessments will be practical based. So there's a variety of different methods that are employed.
Okay, thank you. Someone here, not giving the name, but what are the hours like for full-time and part-time?
Okay, so full-time is 3 days a week from 9 in the morning until 4:30. Part-time will be over 2 years generally. First year, you will normally be in on a Tuesday, again 9 to 4. Second year, you'll be in Monday, Wednesday, again 9 to 4. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And this may be the same person. How many people are usually on the different courses?
Right. Okay. So cert land based, we normally aim to have no more than 12. NC level, we normally restrict it to a maximum of 20. HNC, this year we are running with 35. And HND, I think we're running with 18 this year. Yeah. All the students vary in age. So even HNC and HND level, we will have students who are maybe just out of school. But we've also got students who are 50 plus on the courses. Yeah. We do get a lot of people coming onto the courses who are looking to change career, which is why a large percentage of course of the students on the course are mature students.
Okay, here's one from Molly, John. I think I'll have a bash at answering this, so just tell me if I'm getting this right. Is it possible to come in with existing qualifications, for instance, HNC in sciences, 2 years of a biology degree at university levels, and enter into the BSc at years 3 and 4? Well, I think more than likely the answer to that is yes, because our entry qualifications to the degree level courses are 2 Bs and 2 Cs typically. For this subject area, they do like at Edinburgh, they do like biology. You need English and maths, obviously, for numeracy and literacy. Would you have any further thing to say on that, John? That be about right?
No, you're spot on there. Yeah.
Okay, super. Okay then, well, last one if I may. I really love doing this particular presentation with John, because I have to say, of all our subject areas at Oatridge, wildlife and conservation management, field trips are just awesome. They really are. Would you be able to give just an indication, John? You mentioned the Transylvania trip. They actually get paid to go.
Yeah.
What sort of level of cost is involved with the trips up to Aviemore and Rum and such?
Okay, so the trip to Aviemore and Rum will typically be round about the £300 mark. Unfortunately, this year I've not been able to run the study tour to Rum because the students took too long getting back to me to say yes, they definitely wanted to do it. by the time they got back to me, there was 1 week left where I could have booked the accommodation. That was in March, early March. The weather, like I said, I've been fortunate every year that I've been, but I normally go towards the end of March, beginning of April. The weather early March tends to be quite wild. The other thing was that although a number of students have said they wanted to go, the fact that I couldn't get enough to fill the bunkhouse was going to mean that the additional costs was going to fall on to the other students. We really need, if we're going to go on a study tour, especially to run, we really need to have somewhere in the region of 20 students wanting to go. If we can get 20 students, £300 per head will cover the cost of the coach or minibuses. To give you an example of how much the coach was almost £2,000 when I hired it last year. The accommodation is £2,000 plus. You've then got your ferry travel to add on to that, and then the cost of our meals, etc. Yeah, if you go catered, you're probably looking at the best part of £3,500 for the catering people to come in and do the food for us. Yeah, which is why, like I said, ideally we need to have 20 plus. If there's more than 20, we can get additional accommodation in some of the small wigwam type huts that are there yet. So yeah, that's the cost. That's why it costs away the money that it does. Yeah. Aviemore for the NCs. Again, we would be looking at least having 12 students wanting to go on that. Again, to cover the cost of the accommodation, transport, food, and the activities that we undertake. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, well, John, that's pretty much covered off all of the questions. So really all I'd like to do now is thank you for the presentation, as ever, very informative and comprehensive. Remember everyone, please, that I'll be sending a link to a YouTube recording of the event. So if you do have any questions, either in the meantime or after you have a quick review of that, if you choose to, please send me your questions. I'm on Graham, that's Graham, graham.west@sruc.ac.uk. I'll also send you a wee link to a short survey. I'd appreciate if you could take a few minutes to complete that for us. So thanks again, have a good day, please stay safe, and we hope to see you soon on campus or online. Thank you very much indeed.
Bye.